Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Equine Episode Examination, where today we will be talking about uh, Honest Apple. I don't even know what it was. Episode 9 of Season 7 here of MLP. So this past weekend's new episodes. So anyway, yeah, welcome to Equine Episode Examination, introductory course for anyone who might be new. We do record this live on Tuesdays. If you're watching this recorded, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on CinemaQuestria.com. So if you want to participate in the live chat, or if you're watching on not on the site and you want to get in on the live discussion here of the episode, make sure to go over to the chat room on CinemaQuestria.com on the stream page, so you can participate in the discussion. And we will be discussing the episode, sort of giving our opinions on it, our first impressions of what we think of the episode. We'll start with more general stuff and work into more specific parts of the episode as we go on. And everyone in the chat is, of course, encouraged to participate in the discussion, bring up topics for discussion, anything we might miss, whatever you liked, whatever you didn't like in the episode, so we can all have a big group discussion on it. And in addition to the chat room, we have a couple people here in the voice call here on the CQ staff. I'm Rain Shadow, and a few other people here if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hey guys, it's Mr. Ben. How's it going?
This is Jay Smith.
And Matt is here. His microphone is muted on my end because I forgot to unmute him after CQ Riffs last week, so now Matt can talk. if Matt's even there. Matt, are you there?
Yeah. Fine, I just won't talk. I just won't talk then.
I heard him, so yeah.
You guys heard him. I didn't server mute him, but I muted him on my end during CQ Riffs last week, the last CQ Riffs we had, and yeah.
It's because he was fed up with me just blabbing on and on about just how great Fluttershy was and how terrible AJ is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna mute him again here. So bye, Matt. There we go. He's gone. Oh gosh. So yeah, we'll just go ahead. We'll dive right into the discussion here of Honest Apple. What did everyone think initially? Because initial thoughts, overall opinions on the episode.
The most bluntest that we've ever seen AJ in the entire series.
Yes. Yeah, this is really kind of the Applejack episode that I was kind of waiting for them to do, and am really surprised it took them 7 seasons in to really do an episode like this. Really the only other episode I can think of where they kind of dealt with being like brutally honest, or like your honesty actually hurting someone would be her Applejack's Key episode from season 4 with the Flim Flam brothers, and even that kind of wasn't even the same thing. It wasn't that she was actively being too honest and hurting someone. It was that she was afraid that being honest was going to hurt Granny Smith. So it's kind of the Applejack episode I was always kind of expecting them to do, because it's sort of like using her element against kind of against her being too honest, and I'm just kind of surprised they never actually tackled it until now. Anyone else with overall thoughts on it before we get into the story?
I have to admit that this really felt more kind of like a season 2 episode to me almost. And I'm kind of surprised we didn't get something like this back then, or maybe even like in the days of season 1. I mean, it's not that it's a bad episode in regards to where it's placed. I mean, this could probably fall in anywhere on the series timeline. It doesn't really matter if it's season 1, season 2, or here in season 7. It just feels kind of like more one of those earlier episodes almost to me. Not that it's a bad thing or anything.
And the funny thing is, and this is kind of a point I wanted to make here, and we might as well just go ahead and start in writing, but that I wanted to make in the episode where, yeah, I agree, in terms of like the Applejack aspect of the episode, it could really fit anywhere, and in a lot of ways I could see, people calling kind of like an early, maybe season 1, 2 episode, but really the rarity aspect of the episode is like the exact opposite of that, where I think everything in terms of rarity's involvement in the episode is something they really could have only done the way they did now, because all of it really built upon how she's developed as a dressmaker and as a a shop owner or whatever you want to call it, how her status with the social elite has progressed over the series. And so her side of the episode is kind of the opposite, where I don't feel like her part of the episode is a season 1 or 2 thing. It's because it's completely different. I don't have you muted in voice chat, Matt. I did unmute you. I was just joking that I muted you again. I can see your bubble turning green, but I don't hear you. Maybe it's my end. Hold on, let me just restart. Let me restart Discord really quick. Okay. Boop. Okay. Hopefully you can hear us on the stream again, and
No, I'm seeing Matt's circle go green. I'm just I'm not hearing him though.
okay.
Hello?
There he is.
Oh, there we go.
There he went.
That was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Matt. I didn't have you muted though. Go ahead and say whatever you were saying before we rudely skipped you there.
I kind of said what I was really going to say in the chat, so
Okay.
But no, I mean, just sort of maybe to elaborate slightly. I've noticed a lot of there's not been too much negativity around this episode, which is fine, which is great. It's a good thing. But
What?
but no, but why I have noticed that some people found that AJ was perhaps too harsh, and I'm thinking to myself, that's the kind of the point. It's like she's being honest with herself and with her opinion on something, but I think that there is a follow-up episode to come from this, because there is an awful lot of where people will project their opinion as fact, and that's kind of what Applejack does when she basically mentions that apples are better than strawberries. She just states it as fact, even though it's a
it is a fact.
Opinion. It's not. Strawberries taste way better than apples. I'm sorry.
Fuck strawberries.
From my own personal opinion. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like apples, but I'm gonna say that I prefer strawberries much more. Because who doesn't? Who doesn't have a sweet tooth?
Hashtag Apple Lives Matter. Oh.
Are you basically saying that strawberries are fascists then?
Yes. One of the things I did like about that.
We can't escape politics for 5 seconds, can we?
No. But in all seriousness though, it was kind of funny with her character, Strawberry Sunrise. She was kind of almost like an internet troll in terms of how she acted. Like, it seemed like she was actively trying to get like Applejack's goat. Like, she knew she was going to kind of trigger Applejack in terms of saying what she did about apples. Kind of a little point of that too.
Would have been just as funny if she'd have gone to Carrot Top and asked the same question. Carrots better than apples. Thing is though, the things that Applejack was saying were not necessarily untrue, but just because what she's saying is true doesn't necessarily make it right.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I liked about sort of the message that there's a couple of different lessons or messages or whatever you want to call them in the episode, and sort of like that's one of the things that I liked about it in terms of what Applejack was learning in this episode. Sort of like a message about how just because you dislike or maybe don't understand something doesn't necessarily mean it's bad overall. Nor that it's bad that someone else enjoys it. He's like, you can appreciate something for what it is or for the amount of effort put into it, even if you don't personally enjoy it. Like an example that I would give in terms of this would be, I'm really open to music. I like all sorts of music. I'll listen to almost anything as long as it's, kind of good within the genre. Like, genre-wise, I'll listen to almost any genre. Really, one of the only genres, there's a couple, one of the only genres I really can't stand, and this might surprise you given Best Pony, but I really can't stand like the really twangy, slow country music. It's like more specific. I know,
Heretic, let's burn him to the ground.
But more specifically, if I wanted to get one artist, I would say like a lot of Johnny Cash's music. I really can't stand to listen to. I really don't like it. It's really slow and deliberate, and it makes me feel really claustrophobic listening to it, because it seems like every single word lasts for like 3 minutes in some of his songs. I remember I was in a car ride with some friends, and a Johnny Cash, I was like in the back seat crushed in this car, and this slow Johnny Cash song came on, and I just felt like I wanted to die about it. But the thing is, even though I personally don't like that kind of music, I can still see it as good music that other people might enjoy depending on your tastes. It definitely isn't like Johnny Cash is a terrible artist, or people that make that kind of music are terrible musicians, or anything like that. There's people who can enjoy it. I can understand why people enjoy it. I can understand the effort and musical talent put into it. It's just not something that I enjoy, or me personally, it's not for me. And that's kind of what the lesson that Applejack kind of learns in the end about fashion, where she wants nothing to do with it. She doesn't understand it, but in the end, these people are still putting a lot of effort into these, and they're still really talented in what they do, even if Applejack doesn't necessarily understand it.
Please tell me that you do like Johnny Cash's cover of that 9 Inch Nails song, though.
I don't.
I can't remember the name of it.
I have no idea. I really don't listen to a lot of Johnny Cash, just because there's I'm sure some of his songs I would enjoy, but it's like most of them I don't.
Makes that more powerful though. So yeah, but I mean I've not listened to a lot of Johnny Cash myself. Yeah. To be fair, country is not. It's not exactly a particularly huge thing.
See, here's the thing. I don't. UK. Yeah, and I don't really dislike country music either. I like most country music, but it's just that really slow, twangy stuff that I just can't stand, because just how slow it is. It doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. And I think that's another important point about the lesson that they wove into the story of this episode, was that it's okay to dislike something, it's okay to criticize something. Like, I think Applejack was kind of in the right for the beginning of the episode. She was brought on by Rarity to give her viewpoint on it, and through a practical view, and criticize, and she gives a lot of very correct critical analyses on the practical uses of these dresses. And I think Matt made a good point earlier about, in a lot of ways, Applejack wasn't in the wrong. I agreed with a lot of the things she said, but where it kind of took a turn for her being wrong was when she started generalizing and started not really giving the critique and just kind of hating on it. When she gets really frustrated at the end, she just says, I dislike, or I hate fashion, I don't understand any of it. And she starts just saying very general things and not giving actual critiques on something in her opinion. She's not giving her opinion, she's just saying, I hate this, and then trying to say that, well, that's my opinion, is I hate it. And the episode kind of also works that in, as in, just saying you hate something doesn't necessarily mean you have a valid opinion on something. You have to give reasons why you hate something, why you dislike something. There's nothing wrong with disliking something, nothing wrong with criticizing something, but you got to back it up with reasons why you feel that way. You can't just say, oh, this episode was the worst thing ever, and just leave it at that, or just because I feel that way. That's my opinion.
But we can all agree Twisted's worst pony.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of facts about that. I mean, that's kind of just a given, though.
But the thing is, though, facts and opinions, a lot of people seem to superimpose one over the other. And let me put it like this. Every time I speak on Equine Episode Examination, I'm giving you my own opinion on the episode. I'm not giving you any facts. I'm not giving you any what I mean, I will say factual information, like, for example, Applejack appeared as a judge in a fashion show. That is a fact. That is what happened in the episode. But Applejack, I felt that Applejack was not too harsh when she was being when she was being particularly, having a particularly high amount of critique because it was serving the story. That's an opinion. That's not necessarily a fact. That's it's a statement of.
But you
how
have
I
to
feel the
but you're
episode
still
went.
backing up your opinions with facts, like reasons why, like actual reasons why you feel that way, with using examples from the episode. You're not just saying, I hate the episode, or something like that. You're saying, I hate the episode, and here's the reasons why, and you're kind of giving kind of facts as to why, and using
Or
actual
even saying
things.
I like the episode. It's just saying I like the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
Yeah,
that.
same
That's
thing.
Great. That's great, but why do you like the episode?
10 out of 10. But yeah, I mean that's a good point. It does go both ways in terms of if you really want to have a legitimate kind of critical view on something, which a lot of people in comment sections seem to think they have, you do have to really back it up and think things through, because a lot of times if you can't back it up with facts or examples as to why, and then maybe you need to, kind of rethink how you feel about something or why you feel about something. I mean, there's nothing wrong with feeling something about it and not understanding why you feel it, but if you want to voice that opinion on why you feel, you really need to dive into yourself and kind of figure out why you feel that way about it, because there has to be reasons why.
As much. Sorry. I'll let you finish. Sorry.
What was that? No, I was done. You can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just sort of on that. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but Jim Sterling, because he was getting so many complaints about, not using an objective review, not being objective, which is bullshit because you can never be objective in a review anyway. But he decided to do a review that was quote unquote objective, and he did one. I think it was for a Final Fantasy game. I don't know if it was Final Fantasy 12 or 11. I can't remember. But if you search it out, all he does is just basically monologue about what's actually happening in the game and what the game is, and that's it. He doesn't even give a review score. He just says it's a game and it's out and you can buy it on this date and it's at this price. And so obviously that was all factually correct at the time it was posted. And you could learn that from a press release, that you don't need an objective review. If you want something that's objective, you can just look at the press release for the game. When it's first announced, obviously there's going to be some slight. I mean, there's no bias in a press release. A press release just tells you what's happening, and that's it. So when we did, we've done a press release when we had, we just sent a bunch of facts, and that was it. We didn't have any opinion in that piece. It was just what was happening, and that is it. That's what being objective is. Doing a review or doing a discussion about something, that's going to always be subjective. There's going to be objective parts. So like you say, there's going to be some facts in there, but it's going to be sorting through those facts and then coming to basically a conclusion, but that conclusion will be subjective inherently.
So we kind of skipped past this since we kind of dove right into this discussion, but I guess I'll mention this since we are in the writing section. That this episode was also written by another new writer to the series, Kevin Lappin. A lot of new writers so far this season. Kevin Lappin I believe this is his first work on an animated or a kids show. He's done some writing for and production staff for some other TV sitcoms on the air. So this would be his first writing foray into animation and kids media. So I think he did pretty well. I think he got all the characters pretty good.
I think the character he wrote absolutely the best to me was Photo Finish.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this episode and his writing in the episode is it was just so funny and snappy in so many ways, and some of the characters, a lot of the dialogue is just so well written in terms of comedy, and like Matt said with the Photo Finish, so many of her lines and so some of Pinky's lines, it was all these very funny character dialogue interactions that were I think really well done.
It was a good episode from another new writer. I faint.
So many meme-worthy phrases. I think
I just like to see it in the script. He goes, and Rarity decides to do a massive guitar solo, like on an electric guitar, but an acoustic guitar. Then in brackets, animators go nuts.
I think one of the things I really liked about this episode was sort of the premise and the setup for it, just how it built upon kind of Rarity's arc for it. I mean, first off, and her character progression. So like, first off, she is able to set up this whole contest and is able to get like these big like names and big status ponies in fashion, hoity-toity and photo finish, who of course have interacted with her in the past to judge this contest in Ponyville. So just even that just kind of says something about Rarity's sort of status in the fashion world now and how much she has grown since the first couple of seasons of the show. But I also just like the premise of this show in the first place, of Rarity wanting to kind of help up-and-coming artists. I guess kind of a nice progression from her now that she's accomplished a lot of her dreams and opened boutiques in Canterlot and Manhattan and is doing very successful and sort of kind of made it in the fashion industry. Having her go and want to help other ponies who are trying to get noticed in it, it's like she was, and already have gone through that in this series and wanting to help others who are also going through what she went through in the past. I really like that, and of course it really complements her element of generosity as well. So that whole premise of her doing this fashion show and inviting, being able to get like the judges that she got, I think was really cool, and that is something that you wouldn't have been able to do in earlier episodes, because it's something that's building this episode directly off of the series' past continuity over the past few seasons.
Can I also just mention that in the first season, I should say, Rarity was also desperate to impress both Hoity-Toity and Proto Finish, because they could practically make her or break her career. But this episode here, she just greets them as old friends, which shows just how far she's come.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say that Rarity is very much an equal opportunity pony, because she did have one of the ponies did have a massive disadvantage of being a huge valley girl.
She's an inspiration to the rest of us.
Oh my God, sister!
Like oh my God.
Oh,
that is
literally.
It was literally very kind of her. Quite literally.
Quite literally. Yeah, and like Tim said, it's kind of almost like the more recent CMC episodes of what they're kind of doing now that they've sort of obtained their goal of getting their cutie marks and sort of building upon that in their future endeavors. We kind of see the same kind of thing here with Rarity now having accomplished her goals and being very successful. She wants to kind of return that and help others accomplish those similar goals that she had in fashion.
Why do I imagine that we'll end up seeing these ponies like Lily Lace and all the others, Inky Rose and so on, appearing later on in the show, doing they're either their own work or working for Rarity or whatever, or perhaps opening more boutiques in other places.
I mean, it was nice this episode also kind of sort of gives a little bit of drop of development for Coco Pamela as well. With sort of saying that she's kind of doing fashion shows. She's not just designing stuff for plays or musicals anymore. She's actually sort of doing her own line and stuff like Rarity does, and has also stepped up her game in what she's doing.
She lives in off-screen purgatory with Bab Seed.
Hey, no, we've actually seen Coco a few times.
We've seen Babs once as well, but that was once after her first appearance.
Yeah, but that was only in the background, right?
No, she was in the Apple Family Reunion episode. She did have a few lines. in
Oh,
that
I guess
episode.
a few, yeah. I mean, I think
Oh, yeah.
Coco's got a little more than she did in terms of, because Coco had a whole other second episode devoted to her after
That
Rarity Takes Me
Babs is
Having.
but only then Babs has been pushed back into the background out of the other appearance that she made. It runs in the Apple family.
I'm guessing the mute button might be happening again.
I kid. Considering I'm an AJ fan myself.
I'm just trying to think how much funnier it would have been if Rarity had tried to got Rainbow to actually judge in the contest.
Hey, Rainbow always dresses in style.
That would have been funny. I would have liked to have seen that.
But yeah, I think I really did like. I mean, and we've said this sort of for almost every episode this season, but it continues just in terms of the use of continuity this season, and even in these sort of slice of life episodes like this one, where you might say they're a lot more, a little more self-contained than some of the other ones. It still uses a lot of continuity and series continuity and character continuity in it to set up the premise and also to drive the story forward. And not just kind of dropping continuity jokes or hints throughout it, but actually using it to develop the story. And that's something that I think this season has done really well, and I do think the past two seasons, from season 5, season 6, have done really well in continuity, and it seems to just get better and better every season in terms of not just telling some new random slice of life episode out of nowhere, or necessarily introducing just new characters, but also bringing back old characters into bigger parts or to new stories. It's like we had with the whole season finale, having Trixie and bring Trixie involved with Starlight Glimmer and all these other characters for that, and they've done a really good job about that. And yeah, I mean, it does mean and sometimes less focus on the main 6, but at the same time, we still get episodes like this, and there's still a lot of episodes that are involving the main 6 as well.
But as we know, as everyone keeps saying, it's turning into the Starlight Glimmer show. Oh wait, she didn't appear in this episode. Not even in the background.
The last episode was horrible because she was mentioned once. Horrible, 0 out of 10 for last week's episode.
We'll have to think of larger negative numbers for next week then.
Larger negative numbers. How does that seem? That doesn't seem right.
Smaller negative numbers. Question mark.
I was about to say, well, negative 1,000 is technically larger than negative 500, I guess.
No, negative 500. I don't
Well,
know.
actually, no. Technically, negative 1,000 is smaller than a negative 500.
Negative 500 is literally bigger than negative 1,000.
I suppose.
What would that counterpoint be, Tim? What was last week's episode? I'm getting all my episode. Stupid Canadian releases are
Was it hard to say anything?
yeah, hard to say anything. Yes, everything's jumbled. I know the episodes this season, but I just keep forgetting the order they're in.
The shipping episode. That's how I remember it.
And see, I don't necessarily think that it's kind of your point is still valid, but it's sort of like the kind of the opposite, where it's not that the main girls are no longer or I would say are still no longer necessary for driving this show forward, but that doesn't mean they still it doesn't mean they still can't, or that they're going to get less opportunities because of that. It's more that the show is now able to still give side characters more opportunities to have their own episodes or drive episodes forward. So it's not necessarily that they're pulling back from featuring the main six, more that they're pushing forward and focusing on other ponies more as well. They're able to do that now since we've gone on 7 seasons now. It's you don't have to build the main six every single episode.
And if they did, that you're going to eventually run out of avenues to go. It's only gonna happen quicker. I personally would rather have, a few less episodes of the main six in a season, but those ones we do get with them are higher quality because of it, and we still get high quality episodes outside of that we get to see characters that we've not seen a great deal of.
Yep.
We've had so much more Big Mac, character development in the past 2 seasons. The last 2 seasons has been more than the previous 5 combined.
Yeah. And like Matt wasn't here for Tripoli last week, and I don't think so. I can't remember. But I guess one of my points was how impressed I was that episode with Big Mac pretty much had him talking, but it wasn't used as a joke. It wasn't like the episode saying, hey, Big Mac's going to talk a lot in this episode, because he never talks. He just kind of did. He didn't talk a lot, but it was just kind of normal now that he talks a little bit. It isn't like jarring, or the episode isn't trying to kind of make a joke like he's talking a mile a minute, because he never talks. Now it's just kind of becoming a little more natural for it. And that's what I really liked about the focus on him in the last episode. I think the whole fandom wants a Lily-Lace episode now, apparently.
or an Inky.
No, I'm thinking of Inky Rose. Yeah, I'm thinking of Inky Rose. Yeah, that's the one.
No.
Do you really want a Lily-Lace?
Yes, because I just think it'd be fucking hilarious just to hit that.
It would be Matt. It would be literally the best episode.
I still want the voice actress that did the voice of Lily-Lace to do the beginning of Baby Got Back by Simic.
That would be Andrea Libman, I believe.
Oh my god!
And
her butt. It's so round and big, and then they just cut to the scene that you have of Fluttershy at the window from Philly Vanilli, Philly Vanilli even.
Yeah, I believe that was Andrea Libman who voiced Lily-Lace.
Perfect. I now demand Fluttershy to speak like in a Valley Girl style.
She should pick up the Valley Girl hippie speaking tree hugger.
Oh god.
No, I don't think Strawberry Sunrise was someone different.
Fluttershy on drugs. God, Lily-Lace and Twist. Oh god.
What an episode. What an episode that would be.
Or Inky Rose.
That's when the show jumps the sharks. Yeah, Strawberry Sunrise was a new VA for the series. Maggie Blue O'Hara.
AKA the new villain to the new antagonist.
She's the new Starlight right there. She's gonna have to be reformed into liking apples from the dark side of the strawberries.
We've come down a little bit from basically the entirety of Equestria being threatened by Tirac, really. No, she doesn't like apples.
That's not. I don't know what you're talking about. That's number one villain right there. I mean, even Tirac would like a cower in her presence. Even Tirac likes apples.
Yeah, all her episodes are going to be about turning turning Equestria into an apple-free propaganda, or strawberries are the superior fruit.
And then the Orange Mafia comes in.
Then Celestia comes in to sort it all out and just says, "Nope, banana, 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 banana."
So you're talking that she means that she's I'm sorry. Let me try and rephrase that. So what you're saying is she's going to make it into a literal banana republic.
Yes.
You know what's going to happen in a future episode? Rarity's going to wake up and Strawberry Sunrise's severed head is just going to be in the bottom foot of her bed with a note saying, "Be careful what friends you make, Rarity."
Gonna make her an offer she can't refuse.
Like literally.
Anyone else have any points they want to make about the writing and story of the episode?
I think the absolute best writing was basically when Rarity was basically with Strawberry Sunrise, and how it's amazing how basically showing how Applejack was upsetting people. It was basically explained in about 1.5 minutes, not even that. It's very impressive at how well it was wrapped up. And some people would say, "Oh, certain episodes have its conclusions rushed." I don't think that was the case here. I think it was a case that it was it was something that could have been very complicated, explained extremely well in a short period of time.
Yeah, it was something like where Applejack said something that it was her opinion, but it deeply offended the fashion things in terms of her generally just hating fashion for no. I guess hate fashion, and so Rarity was able to counter that by showing her someone who hated apples, and it like Matt said, it's just something was very easy to do, and Rarity realized all I have to do is kind of make show Applejack sort of how that feels, just have someone say that to you. So it was able to just instantly, as soon as Applejack did that, and Rarity was like sort of like, yeah, so how did you feel? And Applejack was pretty much able to instantly realize, oh yeah, I get it now.
I is stupid. She's a silly pony.
Matt, what are you talking about? Fluttershy isn't in this episode.
Who's a silly pony? She's a silly pony.
Who is she is Applejack?
And that was an officially released song by Hasbro, so it's canon. Applejack is a silly pony.
But, that's always been canon.
Just like Rainbow always dresses in style.
I'm still disappointed there wasn't a photo of her in a dress in her parents' house. Oh.
No, I was hoping that for the fashion show she was going to be one of the models because she got shanghaied by Rarity to do it.
They did.
Or you have Fluttershy with her, basically, because and it's actually Rainbow that's too scared to go up on the runway because she don't want to be seen in front of everyone in a filly dress.
I do think this episode did a whole good job of kind of setting itself up in terms of getting Applejack involved. Like, why is Applejack even being brought on to judge the fashion show? It's kind of everyone at the beginning is kind of like, what? But
that was basically the word for this whole episode, was just what.
Rarity has a random guitar solo. What?
This whole episode could just be. This whole episode could have just been, described in one word. What? But
yeah, and then Rarity kind of giving the explanation that she wants Applejack's sort of outside perspective on it, and Applejack's sort of the usefulness of that kind of thing that she can provide, and Rarity didn't really kind of realize exactly how bad that would kind of work out, and how much Applejack really doesn't get the fashion, and how much the fashion separate from in terms of the dresses actually being useful. And it's funny because I do think that this is something that's very true. I do agree with a lot of Applejack's opinions on fashion can be good, and there's a lot of really good, well-designed dresses, and I think a lot of them are shown in the show. But yeah, there's a lot of really weird things in fashion and art in real life that just really do make you go, what? How does that pass for any sort of art or fashion for it? And
I think my favourite one of that is when Lady Gaga appeared in something that was just made literally of raw meat.
Yeah.
Rarity makes dresses made out entirely of hotel items. What?
Rarity uses glue for her dresses. No.
To be fair, the hotel one was done out of desperation. That was kind of she made something out of desperation there. So, but fashion can be really weird and just not of course not practical at all. No practical uses. There's it's not about being practical in it. So in the end, Rarity's kind of in the wrong about bringing Applejack on to judge it, but it kind of made sense why she did.
Well, the reasoning was because of Applejack's practicality. But to be fair, sometimes Applejack can be stubborn to sometimes necessarily. She's sort of sometimes she can be sort of stuck in her ways and not necessarily. She might, some of the things she may do may be practical. But sometimes she's so stubborn that she sometimes does things that aren't practical because of her stubbornness.
Kind of depends on the definition of practical. I mean, she does. Yeah, sometimes she's in the wrong because she's so stubborn with stuff.
Can I just mention how cute Apple Bloom was with that massive hat she was wearing?
Let's see. Well, let's go ahead. We can move on to the characters and characterization of in the episode. What did everyone think of the characterization in it?
Lily Lace's best pony ever. End of story.
It was fun kind of having them have all these. it was fun sort of having all these different styles of fashion designers there. Not them all kind of being the same, but each of them sort of having their own different thing for it, which was cool.
I'm just wondering if Inky Rose is the most raven pony we've had so far, or is that still Maud Pie?
The other one that was in the Canterlot Boutique episode was pretty goth, and she was actually appeared in at the fashion show at the end of this episode as well in the audience with her very upbeat, sunny friend. Best pairing ever.
They should have a goth pony called Sunshine Sprinkle.
Mom, why did you name me this? I hate you.
That would actually be a really good reason to actually be a goth then, wouldn't it? Be like, I hate my parents because they wanted me to always be sunny and happy.
I really did like. I mean, this was at its core. This was another Rarity and Applejack episode, and I really do like. I do like the episodes with them because, as characters, they do clash so much in terms of what they like and kind of what they're all about, and a lot of time their goals and morals. And this episode sort of showcases a lot of that in it as well, in terms of Applejack and Rarity's views on fashion. And how different their opinions on it can be, but they always they play off each other so nicely, and I always enjoy seeing episodes with them together, and sort of highlighting again, like we've seen in past episodes, like we saw them in the previous episode in season 5 with Coco Pamel, where they were called by the map together. It's always nice seeing them, how they interact now and do stuff together, and how far they've sort of come in their friendship since season 1.
Yeah, the best comparison would be basically looking back at Look Before You Sleep compared with sort of these later episodes.
I think one of the interesting things, and this is kind of writing, and I made this point after the episode, was in the beginning of this episode when Applejack is first starting to judge the dresses. She's trying to do what Rarity told her to do in terms of judge the dresses' practicality, and give feedback based on that. But it's funny because I think she's still, even though she's still doing her thing and trying to measure the dress's practicality, in a lot of ways she does it sort of like what through Rarity's eye, or at least what she thinks Rarity's eye would see as, sort of like she talks about how one of the dresses is too long, and the dress is going to get all dirty because of that. I mean, that's something Applejack wouldn't really care about as a critique for a dress, really, no matter what, because she works in the mud all the time. But through Rarity's eye, if a dress gets dirty, that's a huge problem. So it was kind of interesting seeing her making, sort of learning from her past, interactions with Rarity and them being friends and knowing how she thinks, to sort of point out these practical problems with the dresses in terms of things that might be a problem for, through Rarity's eyes, like the dress getting dirty.
Although also a dress that's too long may well end up making you trip over it, so that would be unpractical.
Yes.
Or impractical, not unpractical. Unpractical is another word.
Anything, if you put your mind to it, anything can be a word. And really, in this episode, I find it hard to blame Applejack until she starts to go overboard, because really, Rarity's the one who brought her on, and she was just kind of doing what Rarity asked her to do. But then, during that first part where she first started to try and give that feedback, and obviously the other ponies weren't taking that feedback too well, which is maybe a fault on their part as well. Rarity just continues to buy into it and not tell her that, oh, maybe you're being too harsh or being a little too honest about it. She sort of says like, oh, they just, you're right. They just need to, suck it up or whatever. And she's like, you're doing okay. Keep doing it. And Applejack kind of takes that as a clue that, okay, well, I'll just, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, or maybe up it a notch for it. And that kind of leads to a lot of the problems that they go through in the second half of the episode there. But Rarity, it wasn't until everything kind of went to complete shit, and Applejack, said that, she just doesn't understand fashion, she hates fashion, and Rarity kind of stormed out, that Rarity sort of spoke up in terms of seeing what Applejack was doing and the problems that it was causing. Which is kind of funny, because it's one of those things where I think in earlier episodes of the show and in the first couple of seasons, I do think Rarity would have been more blunt with Applejack and her opinions on the fashion there. But I think now that they're friends and she understands her better and does care about her, her feelings, I think she tried to sort of shove that aside and be more apologetic and understanding and saying, oh no, it's fine, you're doing great, keep giving that feedback. And I don't think that's something that Rarity would have really done in a season 1 episode towards Applejack.
Just a question that just popped into my head thinking about it. I mean, we're saying about obviously Rarity choosing Applejack, and that it's probably, it's let me say it's a left field choice. And
the episode doesn't shy away of calling it that too.
Out of the rest of the main 6, who would you say would be the most logical choice for Rarity to choose?
Fluttershy.
I was just about to say Fluttershy, because if you remember in Suited for Success, when when Brody asks Fluttershy feedback or dress, Fluttershy actually goes out into these complete fashion tours for why the dress was wrong.
Yep. Fluttershy does have an understanding of fashion and some talent for it. Obviously not as much as Rarity, but yeah, I definitely think that given her past, both in being kind of a model and her knowledge of it, she would probably have been the best choice if Rarity was actually looking for someone that more of a common pony that had fashion knowledge. Now, of course, Rarity wasn't really looking for that. She was looking for someone that had sort of complete outside
Nothing.
Yeah, completely outside the fashion world and judging stuff based on practicality or just from an outside perspective. But yeah, if she was just kind of looking for someone who wasn't famous, then
You could have chosen Snips or Snails.
she could have chosen Twist, and
God.
it needs more candy canes. That was my Twist voice.
I was just thinking, what was the name of that crazy that pony that was in Saddle Row Review? The one with
The spoon one.
the
The spoon one. That's who Rarity should have brought on. Your dress needs more spoons. How are you supposed to eat your cereal?
I could totally see that happening because perhaps she mentions to the landlord that she's got in Manhattan that she's doing a show, and he suggests that she uses her as a judge. I feel terrible for suggesting this.
I did like and at the beginning all the kind of character name drops as to when they're trying to guess who the other judge would be. Like I believe Sassy Saddles was one of them, and
all the callbacks.
Yeah, Countess Coloratura, and then Spike's like, Spike? Fucking Spike. He was so excited at the prospect of it too.
Spike is best donkey.
It was interesting. Sort of, we haven't really seen sort of the whole Spike Rarity thing in the show for a while now. I don't think it was interesting seeing it back. I think that's definitely one of the things that made the episode, at least at the beginning, sort of feel like it had a little bit more of a season 1 or 2 flair to it.
He's having second thoughts now though, because he's probably got the hots for Princess Ember now. So.
I don't know why you thought I thought you were going to say Flurry Heart. I don't know.
Because you're a terrible person.
Yeah, I heard Princess, and I'm just thinking. I was thinking of ponies, so I'm thinking Flurry Heart. What? And then you said Ember. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's the boring choice.
I mean, he knows Ember's out of his league. She and Starlight are totally a thing.
Oh God.
Total bros.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, are they more bros than they are actually?
It's a bromance between two female characters.
Between two female characters.
This show,
MLP, I would love to see that.
MLP is an incredibly progressive show.
I would still just love to see that, an actual bromance between two females.
Thing is though, Rain, you just know that if they had a duet between each other and they had a bromance song, that it would still lose to All Hail King Julian for DreamWorks.
Oh, that fucking show. Oops.
Thing is though, if Spike had been chosen as the judge to Twilight is Magic, he'd have just been eyeing up Rarity throughout.
He would have pretty much just agreed with whatever Rarity said. It would have been like having a second Rarity there on the judging panel.
Yeah, basically.
Oh wow, Rarity! I can't believe we agree on so much. It's amazing.
Spike is best parrot. Spiky want a cracker. Spiky want a cracker.
Oh gosh, not another Too Many Pinkie Pie episode.
Fun.
Too many
Speaking-
starlights.
Speaking of Pinkie, it was kind of her appearance or use in this episode was both kind of weird and I think understandable. I was trying to kind of think about this today and sort of find out where my opinion on it was, because in some respects it was kind of weird having her in the episode. Like, what was her point in her being there? I know we've talked about this in previous Triple E's about, especially in earlier seasons, a lot of time they seemed like they would always shove a bunch of the main six together, even if they all didn't need to be there. And in subsequent seasons, we've kind of
Season 1.
Yeah, we kind of gotten better with not having to do that and can just have maybe an episode just focused on two of them without needing any other characters in there. So it was, in some ways, it was kind of weird having Pinkie in there because, you know, why was she there? But in some ways, when you think about it, she did have a couple uses, and your mileage may vary on whether or not she was actually required to be in it for this. But obviously, she was there to distract Rarity at the end for it. She was also kind of there as a surrogate to the audience, I guess, in terms of allowing during a couple parts of the episode, allowing Applejack and Rarity to sort of talk to her about how things were going, so we can kind of hear their inner dialogue without sort of doing just kind of literally hearing their inner dialogue with, like, you know, hearing their thoughts. It allowed us to hear how exactly they were feeling and can, you know, or not feeling but when they were talking to Pinkie about it. So that was kind of her use in the episode. In some ways, it was a couple of parts in the episode where it's just like, wait, why is Pinkie here again? But at the same time, I can still see those reasons for it. Yeah, she definitely had some great funny lines, though, like comic relief lines as well. I won't deny that.
I think everything. Say what you want about Pinkie Pie being in the episode or not, but just for her reaction after the Rarity's guitar solo, I think just for that scene alone, it was just worth it. Well, I've just typed in the chat, I think the only really other pony that could have been in this episode instead of Pinkie is possibly Fluttershy. But
yeah, and I think that would have been. I think that would have been interesting too, because especially as we were talking about earlier, with Fluttershy being a little more knowledgeable of it, it could have been. It could have been kind of an interesting two-way dialogue as to it, instead of just kind of Applejack and Rarity talking to Pinkie but not really getting any sort of advice or anything in return from her.
It wouldn't have been as. Admittedly, it wouldn't have been as funny.
Oh no, of course not. No, definitely not. But story-wise, in character-wise, it might have been a little better in terms of that, but it wouldn't have been as funny and maybe not as entertaining, which, you know, to take of that what you will, depending on what you look for in an episode. But yeah,
Rarity totally should have just opened up to Rainbow Dash. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Rainbow just be like, I ain't got time for this shit.
Wait, you have a fashion show and you're trying on dresses and you didn't invite me? Oh wait, did I say that out loud?
Scootaloo's behind her going, wait, I'm there.
So
then Rarity goes, sorry, no chickens allowed.
Oh, gosh. Apple Bloom, what did I tell you? No pets at the fashion show.
Well, I haven't got any pets with me. Yes, you have.
Get that
You've got
chicken out of
Scootaloo
here.
here.
Get that chicken out of here. She's gonna shed feathers all over the place.
You have no pets. We haven't seen Winona in forever.
Actually, Applejack did destroy that feather hat, so they could potentially use Scootaloo there. Speaking of anything particular in terms of just, you know, specifically Applejack's character in this that anyone wants to discuss? I think she did progressively kind of.
How she started out with sort of apprehensive, then she went to enjoyment, and then it almost came to almost malice towards the end. Very close, not quite.
Yeah, it was kind of more like annoyance, I guess, as well, where she just really didn't understand. She was excited to help Rarity. She was excited to maybe help her judge things and actually do, what she was brought on to do in terms of judging things practically, but I think she got more and more frustrated as the episode went on with how these designs were and how unpractical and stupid they were to her. That all that frustration kind of gets built up and built up, where she would keep giving this advice, and it was just like, why do you have a billion buttons on this dress? It's, it makes no sense. But I did like that about the episode, is that kind of slow progression of how Applejack went from being excited and trying to help to sort of doing what she was brought on to do and offering that hard advice that was, I think, I agree a lot with personally. And then sort of as she got more and more frustrated, building up, becoming a lot more angrier, and not really angrier, but you know what I mean. And to the point, where she's destroying it and like plucking all the feathers out of the, shaking all the feathers out of the hat, because all this is stupid. Apple Bloom did this, and she had to double her workload because of it. And getting, all that building up to that kind of breaking point where she's just like, I don't understand any of this. This is so frustrating. I just hate fashion. It's so stupid. Fashion is stupid. And that, of course, reaches kind of the climax of the episode there. So it's kind of an interesting just kind of arc for her in the episode, in terms of where a lot of times she's not necessarily wrong, but then she just kind of goes about dealing with the situation that she's presented with in the wrong way, and Rarity doesn't really help throughout most of it either, because she's sort of trying to protect Applejack's feelings in it.
I know it's not a particularly major thing, but it's nice to see Apple Bloom helping out on the farm a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know that when she's not busy helping people with cutie mark related emergencies, that she's helping with wearing oversized hats in orchards emergencies.
I hide giant frilly hats all around the orchard in case of orchard emergencies.
Giant frilly hat emergencies. I store them with Pinkie Pie's balls.
Oh my gosh! Moving on.
I was about to say, that sounds completely out of context.
But she has balls hidden around for ball emergencies. That's even worse.
Can never have too many balls. So how about Rarity in the episode? Anything specifically that anyone wants to say about just Rarity and her characterization?
She was more patient with Applejack than I probably would have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of already said a lot of stuff about Rarity that my opinions on it in the story thing about just, it was just great kind of seeing that character progression that she's had and having an episode that kind of builds upon it in terms of now she's kind of arrived and now she wants to give back to people who might be trying to break into the fashion industry themselves, which just plays so well both into her backstory and kind of how how she's gotten where she is and now wanting to help others do the same thing, and then also playing into her element of generosity. And it was a very generous thing for her to do, to put this together for really no benefit for herself other than just wanting to help other people that are now in the position that she was in back in season 1 and season 2 of the show. And I think that was really cool. And and I really did like, in terms of Apple, going back to Applejack, I did like her kind of realization in the end after Rarity sort of, says that, well, I'm glad you realize that now, but, everything's still ruined. When Applejack kind of comes back and explains, like, I still don't understand anything here, but I do understand how much effort you all put into it, and I understand how much this fashion show means to Rarity, and so, then that kind of is the reason why she's going to put aside her opinions on it and help out with it, which was pretty cool. I like that sort of lesson, sort of resolution there as well. Okay, enjoy your sleepy time, Matt. Yeah, between that and just, again, I guess the interaction between Rarity and Applejack, I think was handled really well. I mean, the new writer, I think, handled the characters really well and delivered a good episode based on something that I expected to see in the show for quite a while, in terms of Applejack and her element. Sort of seeing the best side of Rarity's element in this episode and, like, the worst side of Applejack's. Anything else for characters or characterization that we missed? I guess. I mean, is there anything else for the smaller characters, side characters? Anyone wants to mention? I kind of already mentioned Strawberry Sunrise and how I liked her character was pretty much like a troll, in terms of the kind of person that wants to go and elicit a reaction from someone by purposefully saying something that they know that the other person likes, purposely saying they dislike something the other person likes. It was pretty obvious from her facial expressions and actions that she was really trying to get Applejack's goat once she realized how much Applejack liked apples. Right up to the end, where she's like, oh, you really want to chomp on those seed-ridden or whatever she says things, and then just kind of slams the door on her face. It was kind of a funny, like, it was sort of like showing Applejack what she was starting to become, in terms of, she wasn't quite there yet, but Rarity was sort of showing Applejack sort of what she was almost starting to become, in terms of being so hostile towards other people about what she doesn't like and what they like. Yeah, it was great to see both Hoity-Toity and Photo Finish in the episode again, and having them have such big parts and large amounts of dialogue in the episode. And of course, seeing how much higher they regard Rarity now. It just, go back and watch some season 1 or 2 episodes where Rarity's trying to impress Hoity-Toity or Photo Finish, and now seeing, Rarity pretty much being on equal stance of them, them coming in to help her out to help some other up and coming fashion ponies. I guess that's something that we kind of missed in terms of the story, was the resolution, where it kind of gets, of course it comes down to Applejack, and of course she's not really able to decide, which is probably for the best, because as we've seen throughout the episode, and as we know, because of her character, she doesn't have the best sort of taste in actual design, and we already know that she thinks in terms of practicality, she thinks all of the dresses are horrible, so it wouldn't have been right for her to choose, because if she would have chosen a single a single pony, it would have just been kind of a random thing and not actually giving that person any sort of credit for it. So kind of had to stick to a tie since all the other judges had differing opinions on who was the best. And I think that's another kind of good point that I kind of didn't even miss. I missed and didn't really realize till now is how you have all of these dresses, and arguably, depending on what your opinions on fashion are, they're pretty well designed. Obviously, the designers put a lot of thought into them. As we see them explaining throughout the episode, we see them explaining their dresses and why they did what they did to them and what they mean to them. So they obviously put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into it. And then we see Rarity, Hoity Toity, and Photo Finish both pick a different dress, and all of those things, all those picks, they explain why they made that choice based on their opinions and how they feel about stuff. With Rarity saying, "I really got a flair for the dramatic." Surprise, surprise. So she chose Lily Lace's one because she thought it was the most dramatic one. And we see the same thing with Hoity Toity and Photo Finish, both having completely different opinions on which one they thought was the best, based on how where they're coming from and based on their viewpoint for it. And it kind of explaining why they feel the way they do of it, which again goes back to kind of the whole episode's premise in terms of how we view things and how we give our opinion on things. I beg to differ there, Tim. Apple Jacks are amazing. Best breakfast cereal. 10 out of 10. I do want to see it.
But they don't taste like apples.
Strawberry is funny because Strawberry Sunrise actually does sound like a cereal name now that I think about it. Wake up with General Mills Strawberry Sunrise. It doesn't taste like strawberries. And in the end, kind of, even though there was a tie in the fashion show, it wasn't kind of, the point wasn't necessarily to pick the winner. The point was to kind of bring these up-and-coming fashion ponies in with, the big names in it, so they can kind of get their face in there and their name out there. And to also get, that one-on-one advice and tips from them and those people's opinions on it. So in the end, it doesn't really matter that no one won the contest. The whole point was sort of getting them there in the first place and getting that face-to-face time and that experience and those and that feedback that they got during the design phase. Okay, what does everyone think about the voice acting? I'll be right back, but what does everyone think about the voice acting in the episode?
Okay, so the voice acting, who was that one that voiced Strawberry Sunrise again? I know we mentioned it, but
She was a new voice actor.
let's say, yeah, it was, I have to look this up, see if I can't find this. I know we just mentioned it not too long ago here. Maggie Blue O'Hara, I believe it was, yeah. It was really just, she really did a good job with that voice on that. I love how she just, like we mentioned earlier, how she just completely trolled Applejack with with this particular one here. Ashley Ball really did good with Applejack, and Tabitha St. Germain, as always, just delivered a top performance on this one.
Tabitha's lines as fucking Photo Finish were just so great. She really went over. I mean, you think Rarity's over the top. Photo Finish blows Rarity out of the fucking water in terms of her reactions to things. And it's just, it's great. I faint! Hold on. Actually completely died there. YouTube just shut it off. Give me a second. There we go. It's back. It's coming back. The stream faint! At least it's able to kind of pick our, I think the YouTube event ones, it's able to just kind of pick right back off. Right back up, so we shouldn't have a problem with the recording, hopefully. Let's see, what else? The three other the contestant ponies had very unique voices. Of course, we already talked about Andrea Lemon with the Valley Girl voice with Lily Lace there. Then we have Katronia Murphy as Inky Rose, and Michael and Tanakos as a Starstreak there. He's kind of had like an almost sort of Elton John kind of feel to him in his design and voice, I think.
Yeah, Inky Rose was basically kind of like Mod Pie, only without being Mod Pie. If Mod Pie was a Pegasus, basically.
If Mod Pie was actually interested in fashion at all. That smile she did at the end. Thing is, she's a little different than Mod Pie, I'd say, because Inky Rose is definitely a lot more goth. I mean, in terms of fashion and in terms of personality. Mod really isn't goth as much as she just is kind of... how do you describe it? Bland?
Mod's basically just
she's Mod.
Flat.
Yeah, she's just kind of emotionless. I think there's a little difference between being goth and being Mod.
She's indifferent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one too. So oops, don't want to do that. So what did everyone think of the humor? I think this episode had a good amount of humor. I already talked about it. I think the dialogue was so well written, and a lot of the back and forth dialogue, especially like from Photo Finish, and was just hilarious, and both in terms of the dialogue itself and the vocal delivery of it.
I say we've already covered Photo Finish, screaming out that she faints, but then what makes it even funnier is just Rarity just kind of assuring Applejack, "Don't worry, this happens all the time."
And then Photo Finish's assistant kind of like smiling and nodding, and then quickly trying to take it back as Photo Finish kind of gets up and looks at her.
And then we've also covered Rarity just going full on metal on an acoustic guitar.
That was probably one of the most out of left field sequences I have ever seen in the show. Just what?
Even Pinky was left dumbfounded.
Yeah. Man, she really shredded on that guitar. That's what we call subverting expectations.
Say we had all those what's going off, and even after when it comes back to from commercial, we cut back to Applejack going what, and then Rarity just commenting, "You've already said that, darling."
That was I like that little nice fourth wall break, kind of like a little jab at how a lot of times characters will repeat something again when we come back from commercial, just so we can pick up the scene where we left off. So it was a nice little kind of fourth wall joke there about the commercial break. Opening title break, I guess, as well.
I'm gonna say just the very concept of Rarity knocking on Strawberry Sunrise's door, knowing full well she's going to badmouth Apples and just get AJ completely riled up, and just their back and forth with Strawberry just totally trolling Apples.
Yeah.
and like what was the lines here? It's like, I have the transcript right here. Here it is. You're right. Apples are better than strawberries. Only if by better you mean better at being disgusting.
It's such a fucking troll comment. It's like it's one of those like very purposeful internet trolls that's doing it just to get someone's goat. It's such a great line.
Like, you better apologize. Well, I'm sorry that you actually bite into those tasteless mealy worm-filled things. Oh, and slams the door right in her face. And you actually see Applejack get completely red in her face with the steam coming off of her head.
It's just like happened in Equestria Girls. That's the only other time we've seen her do that.
Um,
I was gonna say, just before that scene when she's talking to Applejack's talking to Rarity, just before they go over there, and Rarity just kind of does that quick turn around, is like, "Come with me!" It's just like, holy shit, Tabitha! It's like the angriest I've heard Rarity say anything.
Say we had Lily Lace basically utilizing the usual, just literally utilizing literally far too often.
Well said.
And Applejack even going so far to the point of even calling out Princess Bride, basically. Of, you keep using that word, I don't think it means what you think it means. And then we even had that callback of like where her closet just consists of 20 versions of this hat.
Yeah. Nice little callback to, I forget what episode that was in, but that previous episode there.
It was the one with I think with Apple Bloom and the Fire Swamp, and I'm not entirely certain. I'm not gonna look it up.
Yeah. Oh, was that some point to watch over me? Because that was the one with Fire Swamp.
I think it was.
I couldn't remember if it was in that episode or not. Oh, God. I'm trying to pull up the image, but this doesn't want to load. Why does this not want to load? Yeah, there we go. Sort of. An image I wanted to point out for someone's comment in chat, but this is loading super slow. Because so many of Pinkie Pie's things, like at the at the beginning there, where she's like, "Boo!" that was pretty. I had me laughing pretty hard, actually. Thanks. I saw an image macro that someone had edited of Pinkie Pie saying "boo" with like the caption, "Your ship sucks." Because since she's kind of yelling at Applejack and Rarity. Oh, here it is. Someone was commenting about Strawberry Sunrise, like being like the new troll face. Here's her troll face there. And oh yeah, Pinkie Pie actually very blatantly stuffing the guitar into her hair during it. It's Anything else? Anything else for humor that anyone wanted to point out?
I really can't think of anything in particular.
There's just so many. I guess again the dialogue was so, I think, so humorous. It reminded me a lot of a lot of Saddle Row Review last season. That was another one with kind of really punchy, great kind of back and forth humor dialogue in it. So I'd love to see more episodes from Kevin. See what other kind of funny dialogue he can work into episodes. So animation and visuals. There's a lot of funny. I mean, like funny faces, like the one I had linked there about of Strawberry Sunrise. Freaking Lily Lace had some of the weirdest looking like facial expressions, like when she's like, oh, eck. Like she's almost like doing a JonTron eck. For some of them. So you have like a couple to them if they'll load, and Push's servers seem to be going very slow. But these ones here, it's just, a couple times she makes these really weird faces. Oops. Did I refresh? She's the princess material there. Of course, there's the freaking pony with like the disco ball dress on. I have to agree with Applejack. That's the weirdest thing. We also get this like really this like rarity death scowl. It's like don't cross rarity there. She's not having a good day. And okay, I have to link this one as well. Oops. Let's see. Here it is. If we were talking earlier about Applejack being a silly pony. Here's a silly pony image as well. Being all wrapped up in that, her eyes are like being all derpy and stuff. It's Applejack doing her best derpy cosplay there. Oh, one more. This one is another one of Strawberry Sunrise. Here, this is right. I believe right before she slams the door and she's like, "Ooh, oh, I'm sorry. You actually munching those shop things." It's such a passive aggressive face. Anyone else have any humor or visual elements they wanted to mention?
No, I can't think of anything that we haven't already covered.
I think we already took the good one.
Yeah, the guitar thing. Let's see. So we'll move on. We'll move on to the no song this week, of course, but we do have some backing and score that we can point out here. So let's let me get that all set up so we can listen. Let me see which ones we'll be covering today as well. Okay. Yeah, the two-string guitars in this universe are weird. So I'll go ahead. I'll just play I'll play the first track from the episode here. This is from the episode's cold open. Oh, I see what's happening. I was wondering why I couldn't hear it. I forgot to change that back. There we go. It's kind of this very staccato strings and malleted instruments here. We got a little bit of a more harpsichord here for rarity. Some flourishes here in the woodwinds as Rarity's talking. Actually, the fashion music in this was not new. This was some stuff from last season. Before we get there, we'll do this. This next one is from when Applejack is talking kind of about the whole ordeal with Apple Bloom and Big Mac here. It's this nice kind of bouncy player piano and banjo score. And it has a woodblock end to it. A lot of Applejack score has plenty of woodblock in the background. This is really soft. There we go. So these next two tracks that we're going to be doing are when the judges first arrive at Carousel Boutique, and then when the designers arrive. And kind of what you hear is some different styles of music for each of them. For Photo Finish, for Hoity Toity, and for each of the designers will get their own style of music for them that matches their personality. So here's the one for when the judges all arrive, including Applejack. It's a very big, grand entrance for Photo Finish. I forgot about that one. The kiss. That was another funny part of the episode. Oh yeah, now let me go back there. That was that would have been Hoity Toity's little motif here, right after this part for Photo Finish. It's like a very smooth electric piano. You can see how they mix a little. Anderson mixes a little bit of wubs there in the back of Photo Finish talking. Same exact kind of same exact kind of motif there, but then adding in that more kind of electronic dance backing there for when Photo Finish is talking. And of course, then Applejack's arrive, and we have a little banjo part for her. And now we'll get to the designers here, and I believe this goes from Lily Lace to the second guy was Starstreak, and then Tanky Rose here. So we start out with Lily Lace's track in the beginning of this track. First, actually, we start with Rarity here, so. Of course, got some woodwinds and, of course, some harpsichord for Rarity. Here's Lily Lace. So, like a very ditzy sounding waltz for Lily. Then Star Streak is next. Oh, future. Then here's Inky Rose. Some very creepy sounding score there, with some upright bass there as well, for kind of giving a little bit like a poetry, so like some like poetry corner kind of feel to it. Let's see. Well, next we'll get to the kind of probably the standout part of it, of the score, and this is Rarity's guitar solo here. Very short, but very fun. totally unexpected, but always great to have some electric guitar parts in the show, because William Anderson usually gets some pretty good stuff in there for those. Let's see what the next track we'll do is. Okay, next we'll go to the scene with Strawberry Sunrise and her introduction. This short cue here was actually something we've heard a couple times in the series before. It was we heard it first back in season 5 in the episode Amending Fences, in the track Blast from the Past there, when Twilight is eating lunch out with her kind of long-lost friends there, and they're all talking. This is the track that backed that scene. We heard it again in the one where Pinkie Pie knows, also from season 5, and we heard it last season in the track Peep. This one here ends on a kind of a minor key at the end, as Strawberry tells AJ how she feels about apples, to kind of get that emotion of how, this is very concerning for Applejack here. So a shorter version of that track there, but it's one of my favorite pieces, one of my favorite cues from the show. So I'm always happy to hear that one again. So next we hear Applejack apologizing to Rarity about what she did. This one is backed by one of Applejack's lesson motifs that we've heard in the series many times before. Obviously, with Applejack theme, going to be the banjo taking center stage here. I'm just going to play the first part of this next track. This is I believe this is Photo Finish's theme that starts out this track right before Applejack starts chasing everyone around town. That's actually a track all the way back from, I believe, Photo Finish's first appearance back in season 1, as when we first. I wonder if I can find that. Let's see. Go to albums. Because I'm gonna have to go back to albums anyway. Let's see. Season 1. Is it this one? No, that's the other fashion show. Photo shoot.
We begin.
Is it this one? No, that's not that one. It's not that one. It's gonna be so much fashion show music from season 1. I don't even know if I'll be able to find that one. But yeah, it was sometime season 1. Maybe it was season 2. It was from one of those. It might have been from one of the season 2 ones. Quickly, I should have looked this up before, but I forgot. But yeah, it was one from there. It's one of those ones that's pulled right from one of the earlier seasons there. Let's see. So let's close that back up. And next. And speaking of stuff from earlier seasons, this next one is also another one. This is sort of the score for the sort of montage scene when Applejack is helping put the show back together. This one has this extended banjo version of a cue that we've heard previously in the series. We heard this track, this motif before at the end of Season 5's premiere in the track Our Work Is Done Here. So right after they've sort of defeated Starlight at the Season 5 opener there, and they're having that party back in her village there. This is the first time we heard this particular track was during the beginning of that scene there. It appeared again in Season 5's Party Pooped and the one where Pinkie Pie knows. So this is the first time it's really appeared since Season 5 again. The instrumentation here is actually different, though. It uses Applejack's and banjo instrumentation compared to the previous versions. So if I go back and I can play this actually from Season 5 here. This is from the end of Season 5 premiere. And that's kind of a shorter, the short initial version there. And you can hear that the main instrument there is kind of like the glockenspiel, the bell-sounding one there in it. But here, we're going to actually replace that with the banjo for Applejack here. Now this one is longer than all the previous versions. It has a little extra part at the end, so it's kind of the longest version of it so far. So initially, when the episodes premiered, I thought that was a completely new piece. But then when I watched the episode again, I'm like, no, wait, I recognize that melody. I definitely recognized it before. So I spent a while trying to figure out where it was, and then I finally realized, oh wait, it didn't have the banjo last time. That's why I couldn't That's why I thought it was something new, and I couldn't find where it was. So finally, trying to remember. Okay, I remember it was from a party scene. And then I finally found it at the end of the Season 5 premiere, and of course it has the glockenspiel instead of the banjo on it. So I do like when we have kind of reused things like that, but we shift it and change it to sort of match with the scene. Here we're matching it to Applejack. And we hadn't heard that one for a while, so it's since Season 5. So, but yeah, besides that, it's the same kind of track, different instrumentation. From there we get to the final track here, which would be the fashion show music. This fashion show music we actually first heard in the last was it last season? It was last season. Oh gosh, I'm getting my season. It's so much. Yeah, it was last season's Saddle Row review. Of course, that episode had 3 completely new tracks of sort of club dance fashion show music in it, and this is one of the ones that we had in the track Rarity for You actually at the very end, I believe at the end of the episode. So we heard this one in that episode. We also heard it actually at the beginning of this season briefly in Celestial Advice. We heard it sort of in the background when the sort of celebration party's going on and the rest of the characters are talking. You hear it briefly in the background here. But here we actually get it kind of back in its full form here. Has this really weird sounding synth lead to it. It sounds like a very kind of like airy sort of thing to it. I don't know how to describe it. Very weird synth sound that drives that one. But yeah, that one was first used, I should say, back at last season's in Saddle Row Review. And like I said, that one actually had like 3 completely new tracks to it. So not surprised I hear one of them going to be reused for this scene here. And that's all of the score for this episode. So moving on. I'll be right back. I need to run real quick. But until then, what did everyone think about the episode's themes and morals? We kind of talked about it, and there's a couple of different ones for Applejack and for Rarity and for all of them. So what does everyone think about the episode's morals?
Well, basically, truth is a double-edged sword here. It can be hurt, and it can be necessary for improvements in decision-making. The trick is to be tactful. You need to find a good balance between the two effects, because honesty is appreciated. But you have to be mindful of your phrasing, because, it might undermine someone else's hard work and commitment, even if their final product was not to your taste. In short, don't be a dick.
Yes. Not be a dick.
So, I'm not entirely certain if there's being honest and being too honest. I guess I get what you're saying in regards to being too honest. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying on there, because, again, like you said, like I mentioned, there is being honest, but then there's being tactless as well. So
I agree with whatever was said. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, it goes beyond just kind of being too honest, as much as we've been sort of talking about that as the episode where Applejack's kind of being too honest. It's also sort of, like Mr. Ben said about tact. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being honest, even if it's a hard truth or something like that, but it got to the point where Applejack was sort of overstating her opinions on something and becoming stating her opinions as fact and then not backing them up with any sort of backing as well.
Yeah, like it was mentioned in the chat room there's definitely a difference between, objective facts and subjective taste, and knowing the difference between the two.
And I think this show is actually a good example of that. I mean, really, this show isn't going to be for everyone. I mean, I think it's a really good show, but I mean, not everyone likes everything, and there's going to probably be people that might give My Little Pony like a fair shot and dislike it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but as long as you have reasons for it, and everyone's going to have different tastes, but you still should have the ability to maybe appreciate something for what it is, or at least recognized effort put into it, even if, it's not really for you, like I was mentioning earlier with some of my tastes in music.
Yeah, and I was actually in a discussion with a friend of mine on this. I don't mind people having different tastes. What really gets me is how people will resort to personal attacks over to that.
Yeah.
And okay, so yeah, I like a show about a cartoon that's about, colorful different equines in a slice of life setting. Yeah, it's not for everyone, and I understand that. Hey, that might be not to your liking, but that doesn't give you the right to resort to calling me personal attacks, or calling me names, or saying that I'm, the cancer of the earth for liking this. I'm like, God damn it, it's just a fucking show. For fuck's sake, get a life.
And that's sort of kind of, I was just gonna say, that's sort of what Applejack sort of realizes at the end too, when she's sort of, I still don't understand this, but I can understand it means a lot to you, and you put a lot of work into it, and it means a lot to Rarity. So, I can be okay with it even if I still not, don't like it or don't understand it. So, favorite parts, any least favorite parts? Anything wants to mention about that in the episode?
I'd have to say one of my favorite parts is definitely just Applejack getting trolled by Strawberry.
For me, it was just the dialogue in general, especially more specifically Photo Finish's dialogue. There's just so many great, repeatable lines. That's one of my favorite things about like in a comedy movie or something like that. Something that really lives to a longevity of it is, if something has some really quotable lines, and I think this episode had a lot of very quotable lines, like, the I faint, and who is this who's speaking, and and all the what's at the beginning of the episode. It was just something that, I know I was quoting throughout the episode as we were watching it, because it was just kind of funny, and I really enjoyed that sort of funny dialogue, funny, silly dialogue it had. So, any final thoughts, overall feelings on the episode?
Oh, I completely forgot there was something that I forgot to mention during the humor. Mm-hmm. Basically, what Tim mentions here, he mentioned it, and I completely forgot about it. But Applejack effectively hijacked everyone in reversing the damage she did, and it was even getting to the point to where the three contestants, Inky Rose. I'm sorry.
I said she was resorting to kidnapping.
Yeah, and it was like Inky Rose and the other two were Lily Lace and that other guy. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. Starstreak, yes. They're like, yeah, we'd love to go ahead and get back to what we were doing, but one thing. Could you untie us, please? and the camera zooms out to show them all literally all tied up with ropes.
I like how in that line it's Lily Lace that says like, yeah, just literally one thing. How do you get that one more literally in there? Yeah, guys, if you make a mistake and you want to correct it, just kidnap everyone. Best way.
That's the lesson. I also forgot to mention that we Rarity basically kissing both Foity Toity and whatchamacallit, Photo Finish and Greeting.
Kiss.
Yeah.
More just hilarious Photo Finish lines from this episode.
Can't believe I forgot those. So.
That's the fandom during most episodes when there's shipping involved.
Yeah.
Kiss. I know that's how everyone was last week's episode.
That's all I got though.
Yeah, it was overall fun episode. I thought it was a pretty good episode for someone's first time writing on the show. Mixed a lot of elements that felt a little bit more like earlier seasons, but still built on a lot of the continuity of and character building from previous seasons as well in terms of rarity. And yeah, we finally got an episode that dealt with Applejack being too honest about something. I mean, and her honesty sort of backfiring or getting the best of her. It only took 7 seasons, but yeah, overall, good episode.
It takes 7 more to get another one.
But yeah, overall, just an enjoyable episode. I'd look for more from Kevin maybe in the future. Yeah, episodes can stand on their own no matter what episodes come out. But yeah, those a lot of those lines are gonna stick with me. Those funny lines are just gonna stick with me. Well, with that, everyone, we'll go ahead and we'll conclude this week's episode of Triple E. So, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. And yep, as we said, we do got another brand new episode here in the States coming out this weekend on Saturday. We'll be watching that and live chatting during that episode at 11:30 a.m. this Saturday. And of course, we will also be talking about that episode, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about based on what I've read in terms of the synopsis on next week's Triple E. So we'll be back here again at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time next Tuesday to discuss a royal problem, which is sure to be another long incoming episode, much like this one was. So yeah, that's coming up this weekend. Also this weekend we will be having a new CQ Riffs as well. So make sure to join us for that at 1 p.m. Let me double check the calendar. Sometimes that changes. I believe it's still at 1 p.m. Yes, it is at 1 p.m. So make sure to join us for our new CQ Riffs this Saturday as well. So with that, thank you all for joining us tonight for Triple E. We'll see you next Tuesday for a royal problem, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Bye-bye.
See you, folks.
Later.